the ongoing infighting between Nancy Botox Pelosi and AOC, the artist formerly known as HIV, otherwise known as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, it continues, it heats up, and is this going to be the absolute end of the Democratic Party? Are they going to have to now so placate and shift left, or are they going to divide, and will the progressives pull out and form a brand new party? This, of course, all got heated up when Nancy Pelosi, still allegedly in charge of the Democratic Party, gave a warning to all rank-and-file party members to stop using social media to criticize each other. This was a direct shot at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, chief of staff, who put out on Twitter that centrist Democrats are segregationists. So they go right for the jugular, they go right for the race card. What I find interesting in all of this is through the years, the Democrats have constantly thrown the race card at Republicans. They have constantly thrown the race card at conservatives. Now they're using it on each other. And Shazam, Batman, can you believe it? Nancy Pelosi and some of the Democrats, they don't like being called racist. In fact, Whoopi Goldberg doesn't like them being called racist. She says it's a bunch of BS.
So yesterday, Speaker Nancy Pelosi held a closed-door meeting with Democrats to tell them to stop airing their grievances on social media. The war of words started after freshman congressmen known as the Squad, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, and Anya Presley, were the only 4 Democrats to vote against the emergency border bill. Now, Pelosi told the New York Times it proves that they have, a following in their Twitter world, and AOC accused Pelosi of outright disrespect for repeatedly singling out newly elected women of color. But please remember that the people who are here now, all you young people, you're on the shoulders of a whole bunch of people who came before you. And you have to stop discounting that. I know everybody has to have young people come in. That's the way of the world. But you can't start by saying that they didn't do their job, so get out of the way so you can do it.
Whoopi, 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 Whoopi. You are about to light up the Twitter sphere, and you are going to get so rocked and raked as being old, out of touch, you don't get it. The Twitter warriors are going to eat you alive. But then again, you probably don't care because you don't have a Twitter account and you probably have no clue how to access it and read any of it anyway. But you have just dated yourself. You have dated The View as just a worn-out daytime show that's on so that nurses and nurses' aides in nursing homes have something to look at when they're changing bedpans at the home, and it's on every TV channel in every room. That said, we understand that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and the hit squad really don't respect authority. Well, why would they? They don't respect America. And Whoopi, I got news for you. You and Nancy Botox Pelosi and Diane Frankenstein and the rest of that liberal, feminist ilk, you bred this. You created this. See, through the years, you have welcomed individuals like this into the Democratic Party. You have shifted from being the party of the working man because, see, people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ilhan Omar, and the rest of these feminist dillweeds in the Democratic Party, including several running for president of the United States, men are an enemy. Whether they're Democrat or Republican, especially white men who work, they're an enemy. We're what's wrong with America. We're what screwed everything up. So you welcome them and their ideals into your party. You placated to them. You were going to represent them. And here's the problem. You wanted their vote even though you knew that their agenda and their ideology was dangerous and absolutely wrong for America, and now they're calling you on it. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is dangerous. She's psychotic in some of her delusional beliefs regarding the Green New Deal and what we need to do to become a socialist utopia here in America, which is basically, take a vow of poverty and let's live like third world peasants, while she continues to fly on taxpayer dollars and demanding now a raise for herself, despite the fact she's only been on the job, a year? She's right in that she's not crazy. She knows that she and her progressive ilk have been lied to. They've been played. Kind of like the middle-of-the-road rhinos and Republicans for years told the Christian right what they wanted to hear, told conservatives what they wanted to hear, and then when it finally became a woke situation for the Christian right and conservatives to realize that the George W. Bushes, the Mitt Romneys, they say what we want to hear during election cycles, and then they get to Washington, and they are strictly oligarch. They are strictly deep state. They are strictly globalist. They are strictly the agenda of the left and right coming together as simply different sides of the same coin, all going to the same cocktail parties, all hanging out together, and i.e., we put Donald J. Trump in office to drain the swamp and deal with all that. So what are you Democrats going to do? Because Nancy Pelosi today said the caucus has her back. I mean, she is that old guard power. And her mama even said, her daughter, Alexandria Pelosi, the documentary maker, said of her mama, Mom will cut your head off. This infighting, again, it's a self-inflicted wound. This is what you get from welcoming communists, socialists, progressives, degenerates, perverts into your party, booing God out of your party, wanting to absolutely open the borders, destroy national sovereignty, give a middle finger to middle-class America, in particular white working middle-class America. You want to do more for illegals, and you want to do the people who live here legally, play by the rules, and pay their taxes. You want to give free everything to illegals, and today another libloon running for president has now said free housing for ex-convicts when they're released from prison. And again, the people who work hard, pay their taxes, play by the rules, are expected to pay for it. And you wonder why the Republican Party is growing under Donald J. Trump. But women, in particular on the feminist side of thinking, have been enraged since Donald Trump won. How could he have beaten Hillary Rodham Clinton? How is this possible? She was destined to be America's first female president. Well, according to Buttgig, I know his name is Buttigieg, but according to Buttgig, who he's being touted as the first openly gay candidate for president, why, there's obviously been other gay presidents, they just weren't out of the closet, statistically speaking. So then that means there's probably somewhere in there, a transgender president we didn't know about. So Hillary technically wouldn't have been the first woman president anyway. I mean, I'm just following liberal logic here, which makes me a borderline lunatic when I do that. I'll have to take some meds as soon as I'm done shooting this video. So, the Feminist, right after Trump was inaugurated, they took to the streets, they were burning things, they marched on Washington, they had their little wedge caps, and they gave little poems about, I'm a nasty woman. And yet they wonder why nobody wants to listen to them and give them credence. And at the front of this pack of wildebeests is the beast herself, Rosie O'Donnell, who this week accused the president and Ivanka Trump of having incest.
Now, there are a lot of Republicans, I think even Donald Trump may be among them, who think or hope the first woman president will be Ivanka Trump. And you saw her
Lord.
Just now at the G20 with him. He brought her to every meeting. Talk a little bit about Ivanka Trump and what Donald Trump is doing with her.
I don't know what he's doing with her. I think he's been doing bad things with her for a very long time. There's a creepy incest feel that is very prevalent amongst Donald Trump and his children, at least his daughter. Very creepy. I don't know. I think she's like, a talentless, non-intelligent, non-powerful woman, and I think it's laughable to think of her in any kind of public service role. No one in his family has ever been in public service. Why should they start now?
Donald Trump had a great response for handling Rosie Know-Nothing, degenerate, pervert O'Donnell.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account...
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
No, it wasn't.
Still love it. And by the way, Megyn Kelly, that pretty much ended your career. Oh, I know, for a couple of years it gave you an oomph over there on Fox News. I refer to it as faux pas news. And then you got your gig at NBC that you couldn't hang on to, and, now you're on the bench, you're on the sideline, and you'll make some type of comeback, and some little cable channel at some point will pick you up when your contract is done being paid by NBC. But at that point, you will be relegated to complete irrelevance, and no one will care. Bye, Megyn. It was nice knowing you. That said, again, the vitriol that comes from the feminist, the progressive females of the Democratic Party, and you wonder why you're not drawing in mainstream America, why you're not relating anymore to the party that gave you your power, the voting bloc that gave you your power, the blue-collar, working-class Democrats. But see, you would much rather placate to our enemies. You would much rather placate to illegals. You would much rather be loved around the world rather than doing the right thing for the American people at home. And no one is a bigger, more glaring example of everything that is now completely wrong with Democrat ideology than the representative from Michigan, Ilhan Omar. And Tucker Carlson absolutely nailed this.
When I was in college, I took a terrorism class. Every time the professor said Al-Qaeda, he sort of like his shoulders went up, and
he's in command here.
Al-Qaeda, Hezbollah. You don't say America with an intensity. You don't say England with an intensity. You don't say the army with an intensity.
Al-Qaeda, no big deal. Notice her nonchalance. It shouldn't be surprising, though. After all, her summary of 9/11 was, quote, some people did something.
CARE was founded after 9/11 because they recognized that some people did something and that all of us were starting to lose access to our civil liberties.
Some people did something. So she was called out for that, as you remember. It happened not that long ago. And she said, well, that phrase was taken out of context, and anyone who criticizes her, of course, is a racist. But as it turns out, this is a pattern, this easygoing attitude toward terrorism against the United States. In 2016, for example, Omar begged a federal judge to be lenient toward 9 men accused of trying to join ISIS, the group that burns people to death. Omar said the real villain in the story is, you guessed it, America, because America caused what she called systemic alienation in the terrorists and drove them toward violence. It's our fault. Everything is. Omar has also called, of course, to abolish ICE and create de facto open borders in this country.
We need to abolish ICE and end all inhumane deportation and detention programs. We need to fight back against the criminalization of immigrants and those crossing the border.
Keep in mind as you watch these clips, this is not just a member of Congress. This is a hero. This is a living folk hero on the left. This is someone lionized every day by, for example, CNN. Remarkable. In 2017, Omar attacked U.S. troops, accused them of, quote, murdering thousands of Somalis during the 1993 Battle of Mogadishu. In fact, they were attacked while trying to protect her homeland from warlords, you'll remember. And then there was the time Omar launched an attack on what she said was a hostile religious force, a force threatening to impose a theocracy on the American people. What religion would that be? Christianity, of course.
Religious fundamentalists are currently trying to manipulate state laws in order to impose their beliefs on an entire society, all with complete disregard for voices and the rights of American women.
So this is someone clearly with a long history of irresponsible and unsupportable statements, in some cases, lunatic statements.
Oh yeah. Hey, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And please, 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 smack the bell to get my next rant.